Hello, myself Sunil R Nair, and here basically we are discussing about the one person basically who is basically not getting job, and then basically the World Bank basically is telling that we will help you 100% to finding the job basically. So like this basically the discussion is ongoing. In real basically this is not going, just taking as an example basically. So that basically everything basically should be get clear basically. That's why. Then basically he told that basically till now basically we have reached up to that level that. Uh, who are basically the Bollywood group basically. Education sector basically 20 percentage. 20 percentage basically education sector has already converted into the global warming issue basically. This basically is name given by some group basically. Why he has given this name basically? There might be some history basically, because that might be 100% connected with universe basically, because A is equal to hundreds of planet, B is equal to hundreds of planet, C equal to hundreds of planet. So G equal to also might be hundreds of planet basically. L also basically equal to some hundreds of planets. So that basically are connected with the set of cities basically. So there might be some issue basically with this word basically. So one person basically told that basically if we have the authority to track the universe group basically, then basically we can give this information to them basically what actually the global warming is basically. Then basically he told that basically universe group basically we're never going to come to down basically. They told that basically that is your issue basically you are supposed to solve basically. You are coming in universe basically to solve our issue. Then they told us basically, no, no, basically we are not coming basically. And then same basically if you will come also basically you are going to understand basically. Then they told that basically understand basically possible, but it will take time basically. So same way basically we are also going to take time basically. If, but what actually education we have not done in our we have basically not done the BE degree, we have not done the BTech degree, we have not done the MTech degree, but we know the education. We know we have the energy of the BE basically. We have the energy of ME. We have the entire energy of education basically in nano format. If we enter that energy data into our body basically, then we are going to easily able to understand what actually you are telling. So to understand basically that nano format energy basically is just we need to enter that we need to just get that energy data, that is the education data, and just dump to into our body basically. That's all basically. We are going to 100% going to understand basically what actually you are telling, and then basically we can easily basically can start the process basically what you are telling. So like this basically it's not like that basically we will not understand. So like this also basically things are there. So here the issue is basically global warming issue basically 20 percentage the basically education basically sector basically is telling that the we are basically into this issue. And World Bank basically person basically told that I basically got this post, so I also basically got into this. I also basically got into this. Like this, basically, he told that basically, let me contact to Bollywood group. Basically, what actually they say is Bollywood group says that basically we understand lots of things. Basically, like this also basically few people says that, and the Bollywood group says that basically we have created lots of pictures, lots of movies are basically created to solve this problem. What are basically are these also basically that also we will try to understand basically, but mostly basically only Bollywood group basically can understand this basically each and everything. So in next, basically, we told that basically the roadmap of the entire education. Basically, the roadmap of the entire education. Basically, we can say the IAS officer basically are there. Basically, they are basically doing the sign basically, right? But in outside basically India, basically there is no IAS officer, right? Then one person told that we you know basically the entire Sanskrit and basically sorry the root of the entire education is Sanskrit and Tamil basically. So one person told that basically all the entire education basically entire university basically and the entire city is basically signed by the Indian group. Then he literally told that basically it might possible here basically because entire education basically converted from the Tamil language and the Sanskrit language. English language actually generated from the I think from Tamil language basically, or basically it might be from Sanskrit language, because nobody know basically from where basically this language is generated. So that's very difficult to track. Yeah, basically that basically only Universe group basically can say that basically inside A, inside B, inside E, basically which all languages are there. Basically. Gujarati basically is inside which language? Inside Gujarati basically language symbol basically which all basically language are basically there. Inside basically Gujarati language basically how many planets basically are there. Inside Gujarati language basically how many satellites basically connected. So like this basically it's very no it's not so easy also basically to track basically. Then basically he told that this IIS officer basically assume that each and every city in this world basically where the education sector is connected, that all is basically signed by the Indian IAS officers or basically the other group basically that are basically Bollywood and the Hollywood basically. Then one person told that actually Bollywood and Hollywood basically they just design the physical structure basically how basically you are going to do the dress, how basically you are going to speak, how basically you are going to walk, how basically you are going to start your morning, how basically you are going to start your evening, how basically you are going to start your night, how basically you are going to start your afternoon. So like this basically Bollywood group basically told that we only design this basically. That means one person told that basically entire world basically each and everything basically is designed how basically to do the breakfast, that everything is decided by the Bollywood and Hollywood group. Then he told that it's exactly basically you are correct. So entire breakfast, entire dinner, entire lunch basically, entire romancing basically, how to basically do kiss, how to basically fuck. This whole thing basically are designed by the Bollywood and Hollywood groups basically. Then they told that basically it's 100% correct basically, 100% correct basically. Then basically they told that basically where they might be watching this. Then they told that basically there is basically many CDs basically are there basically. Many CDs basically are there basically or basically live scene basically also basically few people see that basically see basically that basic people basically are what they are doing. So like this thing is also basically there. So if they are doing live basically sexual activity, then basically Bollywood group had designed that basically. Otherwise, basically nobody is going to. For example, one person told that basically here in this place, na basically uh, lots of hotels and restaurants are basically there. So that is designed actually long before basically by the set of Bollywood and Hollywood groups basically, and that is approved by the government also. Without approval, government basically they don't do any type of task also basically. So the writer writes, and writer basically writes according to the permission only basically. Without their permission, basically they don't write. So people say that Bollywood groups are just they don't believe in rules basically. But one person told that basically they do each and every activity in within the rules only basically, and they know basically each and every rules and regulation also basically. Like this also basically people tells because they only designs the city basically. They say that basically this place na Gandhi Nagar basically there basically set of IT sector basically will be there. Then basically it's IT sector only basically there. They have planned long before basically. In Gujarat basically it might be some Gujarati basically actor or actress basically, but Bollywood basically is 100% there basically because in Hindi basically it's a national language, so basically Bollywood is always there basically in each and every states basically. But local state people basically also do the advertising. Local people also basically do the advertising because Gujaratis of Gujaratis. So that basically will never change. So like this basically things basically reached that basically how which all languages basically are inside which all languages, because each and every language basically symbol basically in the universe basically contains uh, thousands of planets basically, thousands of planets basically. So it's very difficult here basically to track basically and to have the roadmap basically. And the IAS officer basically says that basically we got this roadmap basically that for example thousand city basically is connected with the MBA energy. That means basically the MBA people basically whenever they are going to do the reading of the MBA books basically that are assumed that thousand books, they are going to get the energy basically from these thousand cities basically, and the thousand city basically is created on the base of these all countries basically, and this country basically are getting the power from that country, and the thousand city which is created, they are going to get power supply from these all countries basically. So it's a matrix basically. So that basically they say basically, and they physically can't go to the 100 countries basically. They can't go to the 100 city basically. They basically have to believe the authorized data basically, but they don't have the authority to keep the data. That is the main thing basically. That is the main. So they basically signs it, and they basically tell that basically this was the roadmaps, and like this basically the education sector was created basically. But in this also basically nothing was basically cleared. In this basically also nothing was getting cleared basically. Then one person told that basically let me basically do one thing basically. Uh, Let me track the each and every problem basically in this world basically. Like this basically the Bollywood groups told that basically we can basically do that, and we have done that also basically. We have done that also. Let me basically try to find out basically how many problems basically are there in this world basically. Then he told that basically, yeah, basically you can basically find basically. Then they told that basically there are more than 1500 problems basically in this world basically. Then they told that basically they have created each and every movies basically for each and every problems basically. That, but they have decided the tracked the problems, and then the problem basically is solved according to in the movies basically. And the movie basically people basically they basically have Supreme Courts and High Court also basically. They also basically without their Supreme Court and High Court basically, not a single movie basically gets authorized. So they basically tells that basically we have written the story that is by default approved by the Supreme Court and High Courts basically, and the Bollywood basically group basically because Supreme Court and High Court basically they don't know basically, right? They don't know what actually the movies is. They don't know basically what the story is, because if they will read the stories basically, then basically when the problems are going to be solved. So they basically told that basically our few people basically are going to join your group basically, that is the Bollywood group, and they will be the authorized person basically for doing the approval. So they basically is going to watch each and every movies, each and every scenes basically they are going to see, each and every word basically they are going to see what actually they basically have from this problem basically what they have told basically, that each and everything basically they are going to see. Like this basically they told that basically each and every problems ka solution basically problem basically in the visual basically, and they have basically told any few words also basically, and that few words basically has displayed in the visible format also. That visible format basically is the solution, and that solution basically they have get told in the some text format also basically. So like this basically we have watched each and every movies basically, and how many problem basically have there basically, that also basically we have captured it. So according to the problem, the solution is also basically there in the movie basically. That is the Bollywood basically. That basically is the Bollywood. That is basically the Bollywood. Then they told that basically Supreme Court, High Court basically have placed the people of them basically. People basically who are basically into Supreme Court and High Court in long time basically they were basically, and they basically have worked for Supreme Court, High Court also basically. They told that basically we have basically placed the people basically. So their basically sign will be there, and if their sign is there basically, if they write any notes basically, then basically the Supreme Court and High Court basically say that basically this problem is there basically, you have to sort out this issue, then basically we can sign it and then basically we can release the movie basically, because you are going to generate human souls here. It's not so easy basically, and human souls basically are going to generate lots of family here, and that basically that 5 crore people basically example Sunil Nair has given. Have you watched that video basically? Then they told that basically, yeah, basically we have watched that movie. So like this basically 5 crore people basically 5 crore people basically uh, are basically human clones. They are basically generated by the set of nuclear power company and the power company basically. Yes, basically you are correct. They are going to generate some energy, and their energy is going to merge to that area basically whenever the earth planet is going to move from that side. That video basically you have watched. Yes, basically we have watched that movie. So exactly that is the same thing, na, basically here also. When Earth planet is going to move that side, basically that time basically that for that thing only basically we have created this movie, na, basically. When you told that exactly, yeah, you are correct. So you want to say that when the Earth planet is going to move that side, when this data is going to merge, that time basically this global warming is going to solve. Somebody has given the word global warming. So like this, basically things are going to solve. Then basically they thought that basically it might possible. Basically that is also possible. That might be also possible basically. But then they told that basically if the world will end, then basically what do you do? For that basically we have to keeps on fighting basically. Keeps on fighting by creating cities, by creating Bollywood. In Bollywood also basically we have created how many theaters basically, how many movies basically we have created, and how basically we have created more than 30 more than 5 to 6 crore human souls basically. We have created it, yeah. We have literally created it. For that basically how many hard works basically all Bollywood people, all Bollywood actors basically, actors basically has done as per the producer requirement, as per the director requirement. They have done the task basically. Just see basically movies. And lots of people basically say that basically this person is basically died. Then the producer told that basically no, basically he can't die here. Then he basically invested lots of money, and then basically he told that basically this is the new face of that particular died Bollywood person basically. See basically this is the person basically. But nobody basically can recognize. Otherwise basically it will create issue against the rules basically we are going. Against the rules basically we are going. Like this basically he told that basically we can't basically allow him to die basically. So he basically literally basically, and like this each and every human souls basically, which for example 7 lakh human souls basically is created by the Bollywood group basically. That each and every 7 lakh human souls basically are tested basically. How basically they test basically, do you know? They basically picks each and every house basically, and how they picks that basically we don't know basically. How they picks that basically we need to investigate. They picks this house basically, and they basically see that this person basically health is little bit okay, and if he's not health okay, then also we can try for it. They basically literally dumps the data, and they basically gets out the data basically. They checks basically whether the things are basically working or not basically. Then that means basically how basically that human souls will come out here. Then basically they told that basically they have the lots of system basically available. Human souls dump, human souls out. That's why basically it is. That's why the Bollywood basically adda, lots of people says that who is Bollywood here basically. Literally by seeing this basically this video basically literally they ask basically who is Bollywood basically, who are Bollywood basically. They can dump the human souls, and they can basically take the human souls outside of basically from the body basically. Like this basically they are testing. Like this the blood cells basically gets generates. If any disease basically comes, then basically blood cells basically is already generated. If any disease comes, then basically that person is basically tracked by the Bollywood group basically, because they have done the markup basically, that this house basically we have dumped this movies souls basically, human souls. So please do, please doctor basically, please mark this basically, mark this house basically, mark this house basically. Then basically whatever basically disease they are going to get, this basically if this connected, is this basically connected with this blood groups or not, is this human souls basically movie human souls basically we have created, is it this connecting to this basically. Literally basically they see the reports basically. Reports means basically through power company basically. Power company basically they see the report, the energy company basically gives the report, and basically they say that basically if this error is basically coming, then basically give this type of energy basically. Because Bollywood basically people say that basically we have doctor, we have power company also basically connected with us. We are not like that basically. We have started the Bollywood. We also have basically have the source. Like this, they also basically told that basically dump this data, dump that data. Like this basically is perfectly fine. And few people says that basically we have to take care of the few Bollywood people says that we have created one scene in the Bollywood of the doctor also basically. So we have to take care of doctor also. So few basically people say that basically do one thing basically, percentage of this disease basically convert into the medicine basically, and then just allocate the few doctors basically for this. Few doctors means in medical medicine industry basically put the this medicine name in, dump into the this is the basically medicine name basically, because we have to give percentage of data to Bollywood also, sorry, the doctors also basically. Why? Because we have created the scene of doctor also na, in the Bollywood basically. Acha, for that story. Yeah, then basically it will that basically give the percentage of energy of disease the connected medicine to the doctors industry basically. That is the medical industry, healthcare industry. Give that also and generate the business like this basically. He told that basically that like this also basically we have done. Like this basically the human souls basically tested. That is basically 7 to 8 crore human souls basically they have tested. They have already tested, but they have basically already tested. Then basically they uh, dumps the data, and birth basically gets off the child basically. Child basically gets out from the mother's body after basically dumping the souls, and then basically sperm basically some condition basically. So like after that basically birth has generated, and then basically the birth has happened of the child basically. Childbirth is already happened. Birth basically is already happened basically. Like this basically we have prepared the energy of the child also basically. How basically you have done that basically? Yeah? That basically, do you know basically that human souls basically which we are dumped in the story, into that basically person basically. He has created the entire environment. Basically. He has created the environment, and that data basically is captured by the nuclear power company and the power company. That is the future basically energy basically, which is the child groups are going to get, and few data basically are created by the Bollywood, the political people basically, which they say that basically this is the story which is going to generate from this area. That is also there basically. Then he told that basically why basically this type of story are basically. Then he told that basically for head basically this is the story, for eye basically this is the story, for hand basically this is the story. Then basically Bollywood people told that basically we are basically creating hand and leg basically. We basically have got this many data only basically. So we are creating hand and leg story. Then he told that basically, yeah, it's very dangerous. So now basically you jumped into the medical industry also. Then he told that basically how many stories basically are created. Yeah, how many story basically are created? Tell me. For this Bollywood, for example, the Sholay movie which is created long before, he's going to generate which energy basically? Tell me which story basically for leg, for head, or for basically for eye, or basically for hand, basically for what basically? That basically only the nuclear power company knows basically. So according to that, basically they are getting the advertising also, na? They are doing the advertising also. That for they basically say that basically we have got the control of leg basically, and basically we are going to generate the child. We have generated this many more than 2 lakh child birth also basically we have generated. So we have basically the license basically. So these all are basically license that they can do the advertising of these all products basically. And Bollywood movies basically are signed by the Supreme Courts and High Courts also, na? Then basically, uh, 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 they basically signed the stories also basically. Then they basically told that basically the story basically is totally new basically. Then basically what you will do, yeah. Then he told that basically that's it. That's basically the question, yeah. That actually is the question basically. How basically we'll handle this basically. Then Supreme Court also basically say that basically for that basically we have to take the chance. For that basically you have to take the chance basically. Then he told them basically sorry we can't take the chance here basically. For that basically you can do basically one thing, create some temporary basically data basically. Temporary areas also was it possible, but then also basically it's going to generate the energy. Na? Then he told that basically create some temporary energy basically. Then also temporary energy basically you are going to wash out the energy, and at last basically it's going to land only. Then he told that for that also basically we have the people basically. We have the set of people basically when it is going to generate into the particular land basically. Then he told that okay, then basically if you are basically created up to this level plan basically, then you can basically proceed like this. Basically, the Supreme Court, High Court also basically literally signed it. Then basically the nuclear power company generated the human souls also basically because you don't know basically which kind of birth is going to happen. Few people says that this type of child and we don't want here. We basically want to finish that story only basically. Then he told that basically from which birth, from which movie basically it was created. Then he told that it was created from this movie basically. Then that will be insult of Bollywood industry basically. That you have basically insulted Bollywood basically, literally basically. Then that will come into the Bollywood head basically. They will say that basically this is insult of Bollywood basically. You can't basically do like this basically. You can't basically say that literally finish this type of child basically. You can't basically this type of for child basically. For example, I will take my example. Few people they basically told that basically, we don't want basically the person like Sunil R Nair basically. So to find out basically from which human souls basically is created, whether the Ames oxygen has dumped the oxygen, sorry, the energy with human souls into his body or basically into the lady body or not, with the my mother's body. Just basically check that basically from which human souls basically is this person basically has generated. They told that basically in India basically there are Ames oxygen, ONGC is there, then basically the Reliance is there, then the IPCL is also there. From which basically this human souls has generated. Yeah, just basically check it basically. We don't want this type of human souls basically. Then they literally insulted whatever energy company basically. They assume that it's Ames oxygen. Few people says that we will close down the Ames oxygen also basically. Like this type of people are also there now basically. If they basically decides basically they want to finish this person only, then basically they do up to that level plan basically. Then they told that they basically we will finish the Ames oxygen also basically. Assume that basically I basically got the my answer basically human sources of Ames oxygen. Assume basically, just assume basically. In really basically it's not like that. Then he told that basically we will finish the Ames oxygen also basically. This type of people basically are there basically. That's basically called as the ego. That is basically in Hindi basically it is called Abhiman basically of the people basically. So like this type of people are also there here basically. Then he told that basically this basically insult with of the company basically. Then he told that basically we have finished that company also basically. Then you tell what basically you are going to do. Then basically he told that basically let me think basically what I can do. Then basically the thing basically reached up to this level. Then basically the education basically again started. The 20 percentage basically the global warming issue basically, which has connected, that basically is connected to 700 crore people. And we basically saw that basically the entire education sector basically is created from the India industry only basically. That is the aims of that is the Sanskrit and Tamil basically. So Tamil and Sanskrit was the first language basically, which was basically in this world, and they have created the entire world. Like this basically people says from the Tamil and basically the Sanskrit, the entire each and every language basically was created. So assume that the Gujarati, Malayalam, this all basically created from Tamil and basically, or basically it might be possible that Sanskrit basically from Sanskrit basically it might have created. It might possible, right? It might possible. Then he told that basically, yes, exactly, basically, it might be possible, basically. You are telling right. You might be telling right, basically. You might be telling right, basically. You might be telling right, basically. Then basically the same person told that basically, let me do basically one thing, basically. Let me find out the set of problems and then basically let me create the list of movies basically and let me basically tells the nuclear power company basically these all are the problem basically. Please basically track this basically the entire problem basically why this from which energy basically this has basically came, and just basically give us the solution basically. Then they told that basically if this problem basically has come basically, then basically try to solve like this basically. If you are solving like this basically, then basically this type of energy is going to come into the going to come in the environment basically. So they told that basically, okay, basically let me basically explain this to the Bollywood writer basically, that this type of problem, if this is going to come, then basically find this basically solution. Then basically he literally written in the book basically, and each and every problem basically he sort out it, and each and every solution basically got it from the energy company. So basically the writer basically of the Bollywood are not also basically the literally they write blindly basically. They basically told that we have basically got the approval basically from the nuclear power company and the energy company, and that is basically signed by the nuclear high courts and nuclear supreme courts basically. They're also basically nuclear. If basically any this energy company is approving, that means basically that is approved by the high court. If that nuclear power company is approving, that means it's connected with the nuclear, sorry, it is connected with the supreme court basically of the nuclear power company. Because high courts and supreme courts of the normal this city basically, that basically can't approve the this type of thing basically, because it's very dangerous. It's basically very dangerous. That is basically totally different field basically. They are basically, they have their own supreme courts, they have basically their high courts basically. Nobody in this world basically, nobody rules basically can interfere them basically. They basically have different rules basically. But if they are doing some if they are due to the energy basically, it's some human are basically getting harm basically, then basically the supreme court, high court basically will come into the picture. Like this basically he told that basically, let me see basically the Bollywood basically have basically also tracked the each and everything. And let's basically we have also created lots of human souls, and then basically lots of human needs also basically we have created lots of vegetables also, we have created lots of tomato also, we have created lots of potato also, bataka also, lots of brinjal also basically we have lots of created lots of plastic also, lots of iron also basically from Bollywood movie basically. From movie energy basically we have created iron, we have created plastic, we have created copper, we have created gold, we have created diamond, we have created lots of things basically from the energy part basically. And that basically tested by, they have basically test system also basically. If you test this gold basically, then basically it has to be tested from this basically machine, then only basically it can be checked, because it's created from this movie basically. Like this basically generally things basically are tested, and they basically have the, that means Bollywood group basically say that basically we have our group basically, we have created our group basically, and that is the only option basically, because we have created the movie basically, no? So we only know. And they say that basically we have designed the one of the software movie also basically. Movies, we basically literally creates the movies for softwares also basically, because software is also software word basically, and the software companies are also designed by us only basically. That is also basically designed by us only basically, and that is also basically one education basically. That is also one education, but that is also basically set of characters, set of words only. Then one person told that if we basically might have checked this each and every words basically long before basically, before entering into the environment basically, that would be fine basically. Then they told that basically there also basically they might have created some system basically. Yeah, it's not like that basically the word basically they are going to create just likely that in light way basically. It's not possible basically. So there might be some system also basically. For that also basically set of movies also basically might have created. Yeah. For example, the in dictionary basically this is also basically one of the project basically for the software industry basically. How many words basically has been tested, and how which are the movies basically created for, especially for the words basically. And few people says that for that particular word basically set of human souls basically are created, and then basically that human souls basically which is created from that word basically, That word, that human souls basically has been created, generated as a child basically, and that child basically you can see basically that is generated from this word basically, from this word basically. Like this basically, they all say that basically like this only basically we can test here basically. We are also basically human basically. We are not God. Then they say that then one of the project basically got generated it just now basically, or for the software company basically. They told that basically how many words basically are converted into human souls basically, and which all are basically the ladies basically who has taken that word and sorry that taken that human souls of that particular word basically. Then basically he told that basically movies, Sholay movie, like this basically more than 5 lakh movies are there. Their human souls, each and every word is human souls basically. How many human souls are basically there? Yeah, how many human souls basically are there? Then he told that basically there is no basically you can't count also basically. You can't count also basically how many human souls are basically. For how many words are basically there in this world basically. And that also basically the main thing is the word basically for each and every language basically. Then for each and every one person told that basically very difficult here. Then one person told that basically that's why basically the language characters basically are created. Na? So that language character basically contains entire language human soul basically. Like this basically also creation basically can happen. But one person say that basically entire creation basically can't create like that basically. We have to divide the each and every creation basically. Like this basically they have used the combination of human souls also basically. Like this basically this is generated into one project basically. And this project also basically 100% this project does not exist in the software industry basically. Software industry basically. For that this type of project basically who can handle basically. Who will be the project manager? Who will be the company owner also basically? That also you think who will be the software delivery head basically, who will be the developers, who will be the quality people basically, because this project 100% does not exist basically. Like this basically here also basically one of the project basically generated that from word basically how many child basically exist in this word. Yeah, how in Oxford dictionary basically how many words are there basically. One of the Oxford owner basically come and told that basically how many words are there basically that I know basically. But that I don't know that this word basically is converted into human souls by the nuclear power company. That I don't know. Just now basically I'm knowing it. Then he created his dictionary basically that from this word basically how many human souls are created. So he basically started creating new project basically. That this from this word basically this many birth has happened and that also from this lady body, from this lady's body basically. Then basically Oxford group also basically told that basically this basically we don't know that from what basically the human souls basically are generated. Yeah, that we don't know. But we basically know that basically each and every characters basically are basically in universe also. Basically. According to that only basically we have created the world. Up to that level basically we know. But somebody has created a human souls that basically we are just now basically we are knowing. From the word basically we have created the human souls basically. Then they basically contacted to the nuclear power company and the power company and the energy company and told them basically we want the list of each and every words basically which has converted into human source basically. Please give it. Then they basically have to give it because they are the owner of the Oxford basically Oxford dictionary. They basically can't say that basically we can't give you like this basically. Then they told them basically give us basically just we have the permission basically. Then basically they taken the permission and basically they saw the permission and they literally basically given the data. So I'm just basically just think basically who are the nuclear power company group basically. Yeah, just think basically if they are basically flying in helicopters, they are flying in train. Sorry, going in train, private trains basically. Then basically, if they are moving in ships, big ships, basically they are sitting in the big house basically in Mumbai, wherever basically Goa, where is the biggest house basically of the cities basically. That's basically very tough life basically they are living. Just see basically how basically the human souls basically are created. Then he told that yes, yeah, basically we are 100% correct. It's very dangerous life. It's not dangerous, but it's very very which word basically I can see infinity dangerous life. So like this we can give the one project also basically infinity danger life. So like this basically they can create one project basically for infinity danger life basically. How many basically human souls they have created, their company basically has created, that was basically the nuclear power company. And from where basically they have created the human souls. What was the source basically? One say per person say that basically the movie basically is the source, that Sholay Human Souls movie and Holiday Human Souls movie. Then one person told that basically this is the basically word, and this from this word basically the human souls basically has created. Like this basically it's not so easy like, yeah. So like this they also basically told that basically they given the requirement to the software company and told that basically we also want this project here. Basically we will write in the paper and the pen basically that basically it will be too much of basically we basically creates more than lakhs of human souls basically per day basically, yeah. So we basically want the list basically, yeah, from what is the source of the each and every human souls basically, because we get the data from the nuclear power company basically. We don't have any source basically, and we can't create the source also because we don't have the authority also, na? We don't have the authority also. Like this basically the story basically of this basically of the World Bank and that particular person reached to this. So like this basically next video basically we are going to see basically uh, uh, that 20 percentage basically the global warming and the 100% global warming. From the 100% global warming, the more than 20 percentage basically are from the education sector. So these all are basically the education sector basically. But the category of the education are totally different. Few people say that it's a doctor industry, few people says that it's a Bollywood industry, few people says that basically it's a education industry, few people say that it's a software industry. So like this basically these are also basically in next video basically we are going to see a little bit more about this only.